This episode is brought to you by Resy and American Express. Resy is a digital platform that connects restaurants to restaurant lovers by elevating dining experiences, providing original industry content, and helping to fill some of the country's most exciting dining rooms. Because restaurants have always been more than just places to eat. The amazing world of restaurants is just a few taps away in the Resy app and at resy.com.
At Starbucks, we offer full and part-time baristas 100% upfront college tuition coverage, which means they can thrive at our company and in class. At Starbucks, benefits like college tuition coverage are just the start.
Looking back, I wanted to accentuate my reverence for handmade pasta and differentiate texture, history. I wanted people to feel that it was special and that I held it very close to my heart.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rothbard. Evan Funke is a Los Angeles chef and roller of pastas, starring on Netflix and in the dining rooms of Felix, Mother Wolf, Funke, and other restaurants in his expanding empire. It was such a pleasure sitting down with Evan in LA to talk about his wild ride of a career, the good word on the restaurant Funke in Beverly Hills, and how he collaborates closely with his staff to make sure the pasta is right every single night. We also get an update on his long-held fuck pasta machine sentiment. That was great. Evan is honest here and reveals the many complexities of running multiple restaurants. And at the top of the show, it's the Resy hit list, where we speak with a Resy editor to hear about what is exciting them in the world of restaurants. It's part of a new reoccurring segment where Resy's editors, writers, and partner chefs will share compelling stories and discuss the latest in food and dining culture. On today's show, we catch up with Deanna Ting. Deanna is the New York editor at Resy, and we talk about new openings and what's exciting her on the scene. This includes an Italian restaurant renaissance and wine bars opening in unique spaces. Deanna also answers the simple question, which steakhouse should I book in New York? I'm joined by Deanna Ting, New York editor at Resy. I'm excited to go over your September New York City hit list. Tell me about the hit list and how you think about this monthly column.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me here. It's really great to be here, Matt. So every month I write the monthly hit list for New York. It comes out on the first of the month, and it's a compilation of 20 restaurants that we really just want people to have on the radar, to go to. We encourage them to go to. It's always like a really interesting mix. I kind of like agonize over the list for a whole month up until I file the copy. But yeah, it's always a mix of both buzzy, really trendy restaurants that are really high on people's personal hit list. And then it's also, including some tried and true standards, maybe some restaurants that you might have forgotten about or, just haven't had on your radar in a while. So it's, it's a mix of places that take reservations, places that don't. I try to make it as geographically diverse as I can too, to hit up as many different boroughs and neighborhoods. So yeah, it's a fun exercise, sometimes a little stressful, but really fun.
I mean, I've been reading it for years, and it's purely editorial. As you mentioned, there's places that don't take reservations, meaning they're not on the platform Resy. And I think the writing is so crisp, and it's just terrific work. It's like I looked at the Word doc you sent me, it's 3,000 words. It's amazing. It's so helpful for our listeners who want to go find great new restaurants and establish restaurants in New York.
Oh, thank you so much. That's really heartwarming to hear. But yeah, no, I really put a lot of effort into it. I know, it's sometimes easy to throw lists together, but that one I definitely take my time with. And another thing about it is that I actually try myself to go to every restaurant that I put on the list, or if I can't make it there myself, I refer to my esteemed colleagues or friends whose taste I really trust, and so
they call it doing the work.
Yeah,
Deanna, you're doing the work.
So putting on the pounds, but
well, you know what? That's part of our occupational hazard. No one wants to hear us complain about being restaurant reviewers and writers, but we'll do that.
Exactly.
you know, let's bring the hit list to life.
Yeah.
I think this is a great format to talk about the work you do. And we are entering the busy restaurant season. And I know you're like looking at all the new openings, some of the places that have been open for a year and checking in. But I want to talk to you about a trend that you spotted. You're seeing this Italian renaissance in New York City. What did you find?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I feel like for the past 2 years, the scene of dining in New York has kind of been more dominated by a lot of French restaurants. Like kind of like French restaurants kind of made this like resounding resurgence. And you still see that, especially now. And, you know, Italian restaurants are, you know, synonymous with New York City. And they never really went away. But I think they kind of took a little bit of a backseat to the buzzier French restaurants that were opening and kind of, you know, gaining a lot of traction.
Oh, we had a French revival.
Yes,
the past
yeah, definitely.
3 years, Le Vaudor, all the way down.
For sure, yes, so many. And, you know, New York also has always had a long-held love affair with French food, too, but it just kind of, like, went up even more the past couple of years. But now I'm starting to see a lot more, like, Italian restaurants kind of, like, coming back and kind of, like, taking the spotlight. I'm thinking, like, I think one of the earliest signs of that I saw was, you know, the opening of Borgo with Andrew Tarlow. You know, really, really outstanding restaurant. Just it's beautiful and it's just so lovely to dine there. And then more recently, I'm thinking of a spot like, you know, Osteria Redisa out in Carroll Gardens, you know, the second opening of Ops in the East Village, kind of like the return of Del Anima to the West Village.
I was so heartened by that return. I have not made it back, but what a beloved restaurant.
Yeah, I'm actually going there tomorrow, so
great.
I'm excited to check it
We'll
out.
have to hear back from you on that.
Yeah, see how it is. But yeah, it's just been interesting. And I even think of like a spot like JR and Son, which is also kind of, you know, an ode to kind of like, you know, the Sunday like red sauce Italian types of restaurants. What I think is really interesting about these newer like Italian restaurants that we're seeing is that, you know, they are very much rooted in a lot of like the Italian traditions, like the culinary influences, but they're not afraid to kind of have some fun or really like go deep in a particular region or, you know, just like play with nostalgia like JR and Son does. So yeah, I think it's just like kind of fun to see that and like fun to see that kind of coming back.
And we saw the expansion of Four Horsemen.
Yes.
The restaurant is E. Cavallini. Tell me about what you found there.
Yeah. I was able to go to E. Cavallini, I would say maybe like I was like maybe 2.5 or 3 weeks after they had just opened. And it was crazy. Like you wouldn't have known that it was a brand new restaurant. It almost felt like they were just so polished. Like, they're such pros. They had everything like so dialed in. And it was really great. Like I had such a wonderful time. All the dishes were just like really outstanding. Yeah, some of the dishes that I tried that I really loved included, you know, the house-made focaccia that they serve with this like whipped ricotta. It's so delicious and just like, you know, perfect summer, like at the very peak of summer tomatoes. There's this like really lovely, juicy like confit tuna belly that they lay on top of beans. Like I think Nick Curtola is like a master of beans.
Yeah.
Every bean dish that I've ever had from him is always really fantastic. And then for the pastas, we had 2 of them. We had like, you know, sun gold pasta. You have to.
Obviously in July you're
summer
doing
in
that,
New York.
obviously.
Yeah, you got to have it. And then we also tried the trofie with this like pesto and Belper Knoll cheese, I believe. But it was really good. I actually think I preferred that one. I just loved like kind of like the unctuousness of that pesto and just like how rich but like light at the same time it was because like the pasta shape itself is just it's so delicate.
Beautiful.
So it was really fun.
Food. And Nick Curtola, you know, famous for Four Horsemen, which a real natural wine spot and really doing kind of like French leaning cuisine. Yeah. But in our interview with Nick last year, when we talked to him, clearly Italy has his heart. He trained in Italy, travels there more than any other country, and this feels like a huge moment for Nick Curtola to really expand this conversation with New York City diners.
Yeah, definitely. You can taste all the work and the research that he's kind of put into the menu there, and it's really great.
Let's move on to steakhouses in New York City.
Yeah.
You know, they're really, I feel like, having a little bit of a moment, but more so, diners that we talk to on our show and commenters when they ask for recs, they're always asking for steakhouses to visit, either for business meetings or just in general loving steak. Could be the protein era. Who knows? Lots of reasons. You've given the New York City steakhouse scene a really close look. What did you find?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, I think, what's been really interesting is that over the past couple of years, with steakhouses in New York, you're seeing and maybe it's not even just limited to New York. I think it's kind of all over, but you're seeing a lot of steakhouses kind of have more fun, like throw a little bit of a twist in there, like kind of subvert the trend or, subvert the genre just the tiniest little bit. And I think that's been super interesting and really fun. And some examples that kind of come to my mind more immediately would be, and I regret I haven't been to them yet, but La Tête d'Or from Daniel Boulud. I mean, with the the French influence on the steakhouse, the prime rib trolley. It's just like a beautiful showcase for steak with a little bit of French flair. And then another one that's new that I haven't yet been to but really want to check out is the Dynamo Room from the folks behind spots like Cafe Chelsea and Sunday in Brooklyn. And I know that with that one, they're really trying to go for kind of like this like old school vibe as well. It's right by Penn Station, which makes it super convenient.
Very convenient, but it's like really an interesting lineage there with those restaurants that are more neighborhood spots. Opening near Penn, which is a cool area to focus on. Maybe when you come back, we can talk about that area. But a Dynamo Room,
the Dynamo Room, which is interesting too. It's like they definitely hew to the standard classics. Like you've got like a tomahawk steak and all that. But what I think is fun too is that they do a whole chilled lobster where the meat is deviled, and they kind of lean into the caviar trend in a big way with this really beautiful chocolate tart with a huge dollop of caviar on the top, and so
chocolate tart and caviar.
Yes,
and interesting use of caviar. I'm not sure if I'm
I
buying
haven't had
that
it yet,
one,
but
and I think you're so right. It's no longer a chain experience. Like the millennial diners and even younger who want more than cream spinach and the 4 dry aged cuts. They want some show.
But I definitely think, with steakhouses, what I also find really interesting is that there is this desire to try these newer, buzzier ones with a little bit of a twist. But then at the same time, there's also this desire to really go to the historical ones, the ones that have been around for forever, your Peter Lugers, your Keens, Delmonico's. And I think all of that is sort of driven by this collective yearning for nostalgia that I think we've also seen post-pandemic for quite some time.
Great note about the historical places, and we're not discounting them at all. Of course, I love Keens and Luger, and it's there's enough steakhouses to go around for everyone. There's just a high demand for these places.
Definitely.
Deanna, I want to talk about a single restaurant, Odre. It's a Korean restaurant in the East Village, and it's on my radar. I haven't been, but I've heard great things. But you note that it offers one of the best value prefix menus in the city. Tell me about that.
Yeah, definitely. So what's really lovely about this spot is that they offer this prefix menu, 4-course prefix for just $42, which is kind of unheard of these days, I guess. But what's really special about this place, I just went there very recently, and it kind of gave me OG Attaboy vibes, it just in terms of the menu and just the prefix concept, and it's also rooted in Korean culinary traditions like Attaboy, but the vibes are a little bit homier, they're not so brutalist.
There aren't
brutalist
no art on the wall.
But
we love Attaboy, by the way.
I do love them, yes. But it was just really great, and funny enough, it's also from the same hospitality group as Attaboy, so Hand Hospitality, which is behind so many great restaurants, especially Korean restaurants.
Oh my gosh, Hojak Fan, Ari, her name is Han. I could name 5 more.
Yeah, there's definitely way more. But I had sort of had them on my radar for a little bit, but just hadn't made it there just yet. And then, my colleague, Noemi Karant, suggested that we go there. And so we went there together with another colleague of ours. And we just had a really, really lovely meal. And it was just it was so fun to see the creativity that the chefs put into everything. It's helmed by Chef Chung Ki Kong and Minji Park. And it's just, they say that it's like very much like, traditional Korean cuisine, but you see lots of flourishes there that aren't really so traditional. Like, for instance, they stuff squash blossoms with snow crab to make mandu. There's this add-on dish that's inspired by ukejang, but it's just, it's like a really refreshing cold noodle with like slicked in this like really like spicy chili oil that I loved. And this other dish that they had was it was like really thin slices of just like a very, very nice like pork butt. And then they add kimchi jam and sesame samjang. And then they put like a crown of garlic crisps around it. And it like when I saw that dish, I actually had flashbacks to this sunchoke dish that I had like years and years ago at Attaboy. Like it just looked so, it reminded me so much of that dish. But yeah, it's really fun.
It sounds like they're riffing on Bossam a little bit there.
Yeah.
And I love the reference to OG Attaboy because I remember going first couple months, similar price actually back like
Very
almost
similar,
a decade ago, like $40. And it was revolutionary to have a Korean restaurant where, you're charging for panchan, and that was controversial at the time. Now we've adjusted and we know that that's part of the cost. And I love that this restaurant in the East Village is kind of channeling OG Attaboy.
Definitely, yeah, kind of reviving it a little bit. And, new, like current Attaboy also still really great.
Oh my God,
yes.
yeah, we can't forget about it. It's changed slightly over the years. The price point has gone up, obviously. So it's less of a value proposition, but I love Attaboy.
Yeah.
Try to go there once or twice a year. Love what they do.
Yeah.
So wine bars are most certainly on our radar. And you write about them. Wine bars are part of New York City dining lore, and we have plenty of them. But there's a newer generation of wine bars that are opening in fresh spaces and providing, I would say, a little more like cultural context than the classic Eurocentric wine bar.
Yeah, definitely. I think one that I particularly love is LA from Annie Shi, whom you had on the show
Great
a couple
interview with
weeks
Liza.
ago. Yes, yeah, it was really lovely. And LA, what man? I guess, I'd have to say it's probably, I would say it's probably like one of my favorite new openings of this past year. It's this really like jewel box of a restaurant. It's located on Doyer Street in Manhattan,
That
Chinatown.
curvy one.
Yes.
Great street.
Very famous street. And it's literally next door to Namwa Tea Parlor, which is the oldest dim sum restaurant in the entire city. And so it's so interesting to kind of see that dichotomy of like old and new. But you step inside there and it's a really tiny space, but there's just like so much energy in there. You see all the wine on the walls, and the hospitality is so warm. And the food coming out of the kitchen from Chef Patty Lee is just, it's really phenomenal. It's really creative and inventive. It subverts like what you would kind of expect of Chinese food or, a Chinese wine bar.
Let's
and
tap
like
into that.
how you pair wines with Chinese food. So,
Let's tap into that.
Yeah.
You use a great word, subverts.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I love that.
Yeah, I guess, a lot of times if you say Chinese American food, Chinese American wine bar, people have certain expectations or, things that they imagine when they think of Chinese American food. And, the kind of food that Lei is putting out there, isn't quite what you would think. Like it's not, it's maybe not necessarily orange chicken or General Tso's.
It's not Cantonese.
Not that those are bad. Like I love orange chicken. And,
or
and
Chinese American. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's very much its own cuisine and it's really special. But yeah, what she's putting forth is just like, it's really like, I guess it's like it's so well researched, but also just like has these little tweaks to it that kind of make it stand out. Like I think of like the xiaobing that they stuff with like cold pats of butter, so you get this like the butter just melts in your mouth when you take a bite of it, and you pair it with your wine, and it's great. She fashions like a Spanish tortilla out of with eggs and like Chinese sausage. So there's like it's great. There's And there's this really great cat's ear noodles dish that I love. But I think my absolute favorite dish there was a pairing that they did with Lady Edison Jinhua ham.
Oh, beautiful.
Just really thin slices of that paired with like these thin slices of pear and just like a sprinkling of black pepper on top. And it's so good. It's really really delicious and great for pairing with any of the wines that they have there.
Like any good wine bar, I mean, this is a restaurant fully. I mean, the branding is a wine bar.
I know there's always that eternal conundrum, like, is it a wine bar? Is it a restaurant?
It sounds like maybe the formats have shrunken down and maybe the style of service is more casual and maybe it's a faster experience than, say, a full-seated menu. I think it's interesting about how Lei is spatially so close to Bridges. Yeah. And I was recently at Bridges and it was a little bit of a wait. And Lei was closed. It was Monday night. Bless them for having the night off. But think about it, New Yorkers or those visiting it. This is a perfect 1-2.
Yeah, definitely.
Bridges and Lei.
Yes,
Lei and Bridges.
very much so.
Go in that order.
Very great combo. And actually what's funny is the first time that I went to Lei, I actually also did a double header.
Oh, yeah.
Lei was actually our second stop of our tour, and our first stop was to Suns by Sunny Lee, which is also just like kind of a stone's throw away. And gosh, I just really love Sunny Lee's cooking. It's super like heartwarming and really heartfelt. Like there's a lot of soul to the cooking that she does. And yeah, it's a great accompaniment for any wine that you want to have.
What's on the menu at Suns? What's happening there?
Well, I always love her variation on a salad. It kind of changes all the time depending on what ingredients are in season. But it's often like a lot of like endive, pieces with like this like creamy like sesame like dressing and you kind of like eat the salad like nachos, which is really fun. She does this really great stew that I love. She does like a kind of like a play on like lasagna, but with like tteokbokki. So it's cheesy, melty. It's like
I love a melted tteokbokki.
Tomato sauce. Yeah. So it's a
really great
lovely
beverage service there as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's amazing. A couple other topics. The hit list is really hitting to this month. Great recommendations. I've been noticing this idea of tableside presentations. I think you hinted at it earlier. People are upping their game, like front of house. Like we're doing this service that goes beyond just dropping the plates. I was actually just in Santa Monica, and I was at a restaurant called Muse, and Muse is doing similar work where each course is having a sauce added or some kind of movement in the dining room. So you're seeing this as well in New York.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting. I kind of see it a bit connected to sort of like the resurgence of this desire for steakhouses, right? Like you often think of tableside presentations as sort of like de rigueur for a steakhouse experience. But I also kind of feel like maybe this is just my own personal theory, but maybe it's a bit of an extension of the open kitchen, it's not just enough to kind of observe the chefs from a distance in the kitchen preparing your food, but to have them come to your table and really like cook something for you is a whole other level. I think of spots like Ada, which I love. I really loved the original Ada. It was in Long Island City. Yeah. I live in Queens, so I used to go to the original one quite often. But I'm really happy to see them flourish in the East Village. And at the East Village location of Ada, tableside presentation is like it is the entire experience.
Absolutely.
They have something there called like a butter chicken experience, which you have to pre-order.
Yeah, it's literally called the butter chicken experience. Yeah. Like Jimi Hendrix. I love it. It
involves a butter chicken cocktail too, which I have not yet had. But Chef Chintan will literally be at your table cooking the butter chicken, and it's so fun to interact with him. But even aside from that, even aside from the butter chicken experience, they'll come to your table at the end to present like the different varieties of kufi that you can have. They're at the very beginning they come with like an assortment of different like chaat and like pickles that you can choose. So it's very, very interactive, and it just I wonder if like some diners either love it or hate it, but I enjoyed the experience. I thought it was
brings up a great
fun.
point.
Yeah.
I think that some diners just want to dine and talk about like their summer vacation with a friend. And when you're offered this elaborate tableside service, it's maybe not for them. I think it's the restaurant's responsibility to clearly articulate what's happening. And I think they do a great job at Ada. I think I went there myself and we did not have the butter chicken experience, but we had plenty of other great dishes.
Yeah.
And they really did bring out lots of different courses to tell us the story. Loved it. I mean, this is what we're here for this.
Yeah.
Want to hear the story. Deanna, give us one more example in New York where there's like something, happening in the dining room, some action.
Yeah. Another spot that I went to a couple months ago was actually the Golden Swan. And it's interesting, at brunch, they roll out like a whole cart and they will make the omelet for you to order with your choice of luxury ingredient added to it. And it's really fun to see that, and you get to talk to the chef a little bit. But yeah, it's also a reminder that it's really hard to make those kinds of omelets at home.
Yeah. I mean, wonderful point. When you're actually cooking it tableside, you're like, that's why I'm paying you the big bucks.
Yeah, you see the skill.
Yeah, you see the absolute skill. Yeah. Deanna Ting, this has been so much fun going over the Resy hit list with you. Thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thank you so much.
Evan Funke, welcome to This Is Taste.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited. It's a long time coming. I think I had your food at Rustic Canyon originally when you were the chef there. Felix Mother Wolf, now Funke. I went last night. So I followed your work.
Thank you.
And I have lots to say about your career and many things to ask. But I want to always ask chefs in LA, when you're off the clock and when you're not traveling to Vegas and Miami and all the places you are operating, where do you like to go out?
I eat a lot of Korean food. My wife, Grace, is Korean. So we eat a lot of Korean food. I love Park's Barbecue. I love little hole-in-the-walls where you can get, a nice japchae or like namnyang, like cold noodle soup. I love Vietnamese food. We order in a lot. We have our favorite places. I live close to this studio. So the interesting thing when I go out to eat, and this has been because the community in LA is so small, chef community in LA is so small, when chefs go out to other chefs' restaurants, they try to murder you with food because it's how we express love and respect and whatnot. So
it takes its tolls though sometimes.
It does, and it can get uncomfortable if you eat too much. But it's all in good fun. It's all in good respect. But I think most recently, I've had spectacular meals all over LA. I love what John does at Cato. I love what Brian Dunsmore does at Dunsmore. There's extraordinary talent in the city, and there's no shortage of wonderful experiences in the city. For me, it's one of the most dynamic and culturally diverse culinary scenes in the country.
No doubt. And have you been to Seoul with your wife and visited Korea?
Actually going in November for my first time.
No kidding. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
I've written 2 books about Korean food.
Oh, really?
And I've been there many times, and I hope you're documenting. I want to know what your first Seoul experience is like.
I document frequently.
Yeah, I know you do. That's great. Well, enjoy that trip. Tell me, growing up in LA and just early days, what's food like in your household, both home cooking, but I'm really curious about restaurants, like lighting that spark which eventually become your life as a chef.
Well, I grew up in a large family. My mom had to cook for 7 of us. Yeah. 4 boys and a girl. So hungry hippos. There was a lot of like Americana. My mom was raised by like a group of Italians in North Beach in San Francisco. Her mom was kind of a absentee landlord, so to speak. Yeah. So after school, she would go to Miss Demici's house and go hang out with them and eat what they had for dinner. So a lot of that influence ended up on our tables growing up. So you would see pesto genovese, you would see ragu bolognese, you would see porcini, you would see. My brothers are culinarily illiterate.
Like to this day.
Oh yeah,
not a bone in their body.
They eat like 7-year-olds.
Is Thanksgiving like on you and your family? Like what's that like?
Well, ever since I went to culinary school, it's been my job to cook for Thanksgiving, which is totally fine. But again, like my brother's we have some special dishes that are very unique to the Funke family because they don't eat too much.
Right.
But, we do regular stuff, roasted turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing and whatever. But
the brothers aren't pitching in it one bit.
No. They might clean up. They're great at washing dishes.
I bet they're great at going to your restaurants too.
They are, but it's a bit of a chore because they're very specific. Like, no cheese and this is this and double spaghetti with arrabbiata, no cheese, this and that.
What's up with your brothers and cheese? Are they vegans?
No. They're just they have discerning palates.
Fair enough. I love the way you put that. You're being diplomatic with your fam. But what about restaurants when you're growing up in LA in particular?
One of my first culinary memories was at a place called Bob Burns. Bob Burns was like this continental restaurant. I think it closed in the early to late 90s. Houston's is now there. It's on 2nd and Wilshire. And it was this blast from the past steamship, overstuffed leather chairs, Scottish tartan carpet, and we went there multiple times. My grandparents would come in from San Francisco, Jazz Weiss. He was this big, larger than life. He was the district attorney of the state of California for quite some time. And he was this larger than life guy. And I remember him ordering French onion soup and me sitting next to him and in this perfect suit and tie and eating the soup and watching the string of Emmenthal cheese come off of it. I was like, yo, what is that?
Evan's first cheese bowl.
What is that? So that's like one of those things. So Bob Burns, actually the author of my book, Coleman Andrews, did a review in the 90s of Bob Burns before it closed. It's fantastic. It's like from 1992 or something like that. But the things that they would do there, very, very continental cuisine, which nobody really does anymore. I think, Mario Carbone kind of touches on that at the grill and the things that he does. It's very modern continental that you don't really see that much. But Bob Burns was like one of those restaurants. And then San Francisco, there are icons in my memory. Liguria Bakery, which is a focacceria since 1910. We loved going there. We would frequent San Francisco every other weekend to go visit my grandparents. And,
oh, wow. You would have that. You really were that tight-knit of a family.
Yeah, my mom's side of the family has been in California since 1848.
Yeah.
My dad's side since the early 1900s and, pre-statehood. And so they still have a house there. And my sister, both my oldest brother and my sister lived in San Francisco for extended periods of time. So San Francisco has always been kind of at the heart of our family. But, North Beach Pizza and Liguria Bakery and, San Francisco's really cool.
Do you go there?
I've never actually been.
Okay, interesting.
I've never been.
I think of that as an old school place. But what's it with Italy? When does that enter the picture for you? And as like a place that you think about like familiar and spiritually, but also with just culinary side?
Well, I think that the love of pasta was always there. We always had pasta. Pasta is one of those things that is completely woven into the fabric of this country.
Yes.
And you can't name a family that hasn't had some form of spaghetti meatballs or whatever. So it was very present. So I always enjoyed eating it very much. And Italy kind of emerged as a magnet for me after I left Spago in 2006. I worked for Wolf for 6 years, and I took a couple of jobs that were kind of dead end, and through some relationships, I got introduced to American Italian food, sausage and peppers and things of that nature, and but it really didn't ignite a spark until my last years at Spago, where I started to notice this gentleman who would prep right behind me, this guy named Essay, who was the pasta maker. Yeah. And I just found the process so beautiful, and the architecture and the the balance of the pasta, and I wanted to work that station so bad. I wanted to work pasta station so bad. So after I left Spago, I got a job at this hotel, and the chef there, I was sous chef or chef de cuisine, and his family was from Bologna, and he wouldn't teach me anything. He was really good. He could make pasta. So that was the first time I was like, Bologna, okay, that's cool. So I actually went to the library.
Oh, cool.
I went to the Palisades Library and Santa Monica Library, and it just started to read about Italy, about Tuscany, about like all of these, the 20 regions. And this one, pre-internet or very beginnings of internet, where there were not websites, there were web pages. So I had
no Wikipedia.
No, little Macintosh computer at my parents' house, and I just did a deep dive. I read, cookbooks from the 1960s where they talked about rolling pasta with a stick.
Yeah.
What is this? I've only seen machines up until that point. So eventually found a web page by a woman named Paola Ferrara, who had like a catering business, and she had worked with Alessandro Spizzi, and that was like, that's it. I found Alessandro Spizzi.
Did you have it in you at that time? You were studying things. Like, is that part of your DNA, just to study?
I hated school.
So this is interesting, because I wanted to know, like, you hate the traditional school, but you clearly had an interest in knowledge, like going to the library. Like, there's something encyclopedic about you that's deep down.
Man, I hate school so much.
Yeah.
I think that when you see someone who's really talented at something, you can define it as an intense desire to be good at it.
Yeah.
Talent is not God-given. It's actually, it's practiced. And I just had this intense desire to know more because nobody was doing it. And I wanted to do something hard. I wanted to do something with my body. I wanted to like be a part of something that had camaraderie. And the kitchen solved a lot of those things. I played a little football in high school, whatever, and I enjoyed the physicality of it and the
competitive nature.
The competitive nature and the expression of this interior, this internal fire that I didn't really know I had until I found the kitchen, and I just focused it on pasta making, and then eventually focused it on collection of histories and data and and mentors, and because I'm a product of mentorship. Yeah, 100%. I'm a product.
The 6 years at Spago,
100%.
Sets you up.
Absolutely. Set me up for the foundation of how to work hard.
Yeah.
And how to work under pressure with exacting detail. That's kind of what I gained there. But it wasn't until I moved my mind, body, and soul to Italy and gave myself to the experience did I realize how much of a giving experience it actually was. And I didn't go to college, I was out of high school into dead-end jobs.
Culinary school?
I did eventually go to culinary school, but 3 months into culinary school, I got a job with Wolf, and I was like, I'm learning way more from the people around me, the cooks and sous chefs, than I am from this talking head who is an instructor. And I eventually actually went back to be an instructor at Le Cordon Bleu.
Oh, cool.
Which is totally incestuous and terrible because they only needed 5 years of experience in the industry. And imagine this. Yeah. You go to be a doctor, and then you're a doctor for 5 years, and then you go back to med school to teach other doctors how to be doctors. It's crazy.
It's not happening. So more people who are doing that first semester at his culinary school do what you did and just like leave and go extern?
A lot of them did, and I saw a statistic the other day. I did a commencement speech for ICE, which is now kind of the Cordon Bleu, and they said that only 14% of people who go to culinary school actually stay in the industry, and it's a very, very frightening detail for me to know.
I mean, there's a lot of people who want to go there to learn to cook, I guess, for their own personal background, or they can't hack it in the professional world in some ways.
It takes a special animal to work in restaurants and be happy doing it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are unsung heroes of this industry that don't get press, who do this every day for loving what they do.
Those are the best.
They are the best.
When you find a chef you've never heard of, you get to try their menu, and you're like,
I mean, I'm sure you do that a lot. Like you travel a lot, you eat out all the time, and like I love finding hidden gems. Like, wow, where has this been this whole time?
Yeah, and they don't have a social profile, but they're still there 80 hours a week with their.
Well, everybody has a social profile now.
Fair enough. Everyone has a social profile now, but not a big one. We'll clarify that. Let's go into your modern history. I want to go back to Rustic Canyon because I tried your food there, and it's kind of like setting the groundwork for the opening of Felix, which we'll get to. But what's your time like at Rustic?
It was definitely a learning experience. I think when I took over, Josh Loeb, who's the owner of Rustic Canyon, was still kind of cutting his teeth in the restaurant business. Mm-hmm. And this was the first time that I had taken over a kitchen myself, with my own team, working with individuals that I was inheriting from the past chef. And it was a struggling restaurant on Wilshire, really unknown, maybe a bit of a local celebrity with the dining community, but they were doing Mediterranean food when I took over.
Interesting.
And Josh really had a vision to be a neighborhood restaurant that was a reflection of, his initial concept was he had these dinner parties in this treehouse because he had his childhood home was in Rustic Canyon. And we eventually got there, but I had a nervous breakdown
really?
When I was around. Yeah, like for real,
yeah.
because
you had to take time off.
No, I just had a nervous breakdown. Went right back to work.
An untreated nervous breakdown.
I totaled my car on the way to the farmer's market, and drove my parents had the truck, so I would drive there at like 5 a.m. to go pick the truck up from my parents' house to take to the farmer's market. And on the way to my parents' house, I got T-boned. And so I parked the car, walked the 3 blocks to my parents' house, picked up the truck, went to the farmer's market, and then went back to work. And I was just totally exhausted, mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted from just going so hard. And Josh and Zoe at the time was just a pastry chef. They weren't married yet. They were like, you need a massage, dude. Like, go and get a massage at Burke Williams. So I was like, all right, that sounds like a cool idea. And, so I go and I can't find the address. It's in Santa Monica. So like I'm so frustrated and it just hits me like a ton of bricks. And I just start full emotional breakdown. And I'm just driving around, crying, screaming, and like crazy. And then I drove around for like an hour. The exact time that it would have taken to get a massage.
Yeah.
And I just went back to work and they were like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It's all good.
So that breakdown was that moment of just getting rid of all that.
Yeah, and honestly,
emotion.
It provided me a lot of clarity. It was a full-on release.
Yeah,
it provided me with a lot of clarity about the things that I was frustrated with, that I was inept at dealing with because I was so immature as a leader.
Interesting.
And
to recognize that now.
Yeah, I mean, I can articulate that now.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I was just like feeling totally shitty. And, eventually I think we left a high watermark at that, we ran a successful business in the worst economy in America, 2008 to 2012, and somehow gained a following and a love and a cult following for the burger and all that stuff. People still talk about.
Those are the days.
Those are the days.
Yeah,
and I had a lot of fun, but I also learned a lot about myself as a leader and as a chef and also creatively. And I took that time from 2008 to 2012 to save all my money and to go back to Italy as many times as possible because all I wanted to do was make pasta.
Yeah.
But I had to make burgers and I had to make soup and I had to make other things.
Your burger is still legendary, they say.
I pull it out.
The Rustic Canyon 12 burger. I was talking to a journalist this weekend. Yeah, you pull it out sometimes.
Sometimes.
Which restaurant?
We actually just did a pop-up, not a pop-up, but a collab at my good friend Ben Hundred's place, the Benjamin. So
Benjamin, yeah.
We pulled it out there and it was
so
fun.
what is it about the burger, I guess, just simply put?
So when I took over Rustic Canyon, they had a burger on there and it was like, it was something I didn't want to serve. I had blue cheese on it, which I don't do. I do not do blue cheese.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I don't do is blue cheese.
It doesn't really have a great place in culinary history. Just going to say that.
In France, it does.
Well,
And also Spain, But the reason why I had a really gnarly run-in with some super aged Cabrales that just blew my whole face off. I was like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
So anyways, this burger had blue cheese and bacon on it and all this stuff. And one of my favorite burgers is the double animal style.
Yeah.
So I love that kind of robust and greasy, roasted, long cooked onions or whatever. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to do that. And we messed around with it for about, 3 or 4 months and finally ended up with this kind of like, very much French onion soup style, onion fondue, Tillamook cheddar, brisket, brioche, a little arugula, and that was it.
Yeah,
And it just took off.
Yeah, but then you got sick of it.
Well,
You got yourself to Italy. You were kind of overdoing the burger, and you wanted to go to Italy. You wanted to build this
yeah,
knowledge.
but honestly, the success of the burger allowed me some creative input on the menu, so I could make more pasta.
I like that.
So
it was your Trojan horse. I love that you articulate that. I'm going to fast forward to 2017.
Sure.
Felix is open for a few months, and I was able to dine there pretty early, and just like your presence was constant. You were there on Abbot Kinney, and Jonathan Gold writes about you, and he writes about your constant presence, and he writes about the iconic statement about pasta machines, fuck pasta machines. And I want to ask you, I've always wanted to, because these moments come, these reviews by these critics, and it can be like make or break for a career. And it seems, in assessing your career now, it really feels like an important moment.
Yeah, I think it was. I wanted to make a statement, albeit
Controversial?
Short-sighted, controversial, immature. But I think at the beginning, it was like from Fuck Your Pasta Machine birthed Bucato. Which was this church, so to speak, of handmade pasta. And I think Bucato was one of those restaurants. I liken Bucato to an amazing 80s band that releases one album and they go on tour, and then the bus crashes and the bass player dies, but the music lives on. That's Bucato. People still talk about that restaurant. But for me, looking back, I wanted to accentuate my reverence for handmade pasta and differentiate texture, history. I wanted people to feel that it was special and that I held it very close to my heart. That said, looking back now as a businessman, not just a chef, 6 restaurants, over 650 employees that all depend on me. I cannot do what I do without the extruder. That's not to say I use sheeters. I do not use sheeters, and that's the machine I was really referring to.
Yeah, it wasn't like literally every machine that extrudes pasta. It was a sheeter style, rolling it out with a machine versus your hand.
Yeah, and there's honestly there are people. I got in trouble with Joe Rogan when we did the 2020 interview, and I said nobody in America knows how to make pasta, and I was again. It was COVID, people. Okay?
Yeah. COVID brain, maybe?
COVID brain.
Yeah.
There are so many people in North America that make extraordinary pasta with a sheeter because they understand the limits of the machine. It's not about what the machine can do, it's what the machine cannot do. Familia Baldassare in Toronto probably makes some of the best machine sheeted pasta in North America. The guy he's a virtuoso, for real. People like Mark Vetri and Michele Forgione and Missy Robbins and a slew of other people that make pasta with machines are doing amazing work. And I don't ever want, my words to be misconstrued. I just choose not to eat pasta in America because I save it for Italy because I can't enjoy it here because my brain goes to analytical mode and I can't enjoy it. There I can suspend reality and really give myself to the experience and enjoy it from the grandmother's hands or the mother's hands or the niece. Or
I absolutely respect it. I think we in the media often take the sound bites and run with it. And I think, listen, having a hot take is effective in getting your
It definitely
word out there.
made an impact for sure.
I mean, listen, and I'm not going to assume it was calculated. It could have been off the dome, but like it did something. It caused people to have an emotion about you. And that's kind of the name of the game.
True that. But I'm a sensitive soul. I might look like a biker from the outside, but I'm I think people who are good in this business are the most sensitive ones. That's what makes them good cooks or makes them good at hospitality, because they operate with emotions at the forefront. But going back to the pasta machine, like, as a business person, I can't operate without the extruder because my labor costs in this state are astronomical. And as we all know and beat this dead horse, the margins for error are massive and the margins for profitability in this industry are very, very small. And we have to utilize every technique possible to make it. Furthermore, I think to be considered a craftsperson or an expert or a master of whatever your chosen profession is, you have to be able to utilize any and all relevant techniques within your chosen field. And at the very minimum, have a mechanical sympathy of those things.
I mean, so you've had a little bit of a pivot since growing your business, but I think ultimately deep down, you had a respect for pasta.
Deep.
So even though you said that and had that taped to the wall and that was a hot take, you probably deep down believed that there was probably okay pasta being made from at least an extruder.
100%. And
it was a little bit of a media thing you were doing.
Yeah,
I get it. Like, we have to we do things for media. That is like part of what we do.
I take full responsibility for it, and I dealt with the nastiness, and I think that it all comes out of my deep respect and admiration for the women that started everything.
You will eat pasta in America that you do not make.
Yes,
okay,
I will. I will.
I'm happy to hear that because there are some good pastas here.
There are very good pastas here.
And it would be a shame to miss them. And you named Missy and many others who make them in America. So thanks for having fun with that one. This expansion has been very interesting, and I've dined at many of your restaurants.
Interesting is a word.
Well, I think it's like hard. It's interesting to talk about because in this day and age, you brought up labor costs, but just we talked off mic how you're on the plane all the time, but like you've got, Mother Wolf in Las Vegas, in Los Angeles, in Miami, you've got Funke in Beverly Hills, you've got a Chicago restaurant as well. And there's probably some more planned. So Evan, how do you keep it all together when knowing you have 650 people working for you every night?
I'm an expert multitasker. In the same breath, I have an extraordinary team. I am, one, a product of mentorship, and two, I am a student of getting better at whatever I'm focused on. My success is shared with the people that got me to the stage, and all I want to do is be worthy of the stage that I'm standing on, and I wouldn't be where I am today without the people who actually got me there, good and bad. Good and bad. The team of people that I work with, that I work for, essentially, because they don't work for me. I work for them. They're just amazing. I've somehow curated this set of people that are like so good at what they do because they give a shit.
Yeah.
There's so many people that just don't care. It's been crazy. We did 4 restaurants in 18 months. We opened Funke in May, and then it was right after that, it was Vegas, and then right after that, it was Chicago, and right after that, it was Miami. And those were, honestly, like, full transparency, those are all COVID deals because nobody wanted to make restaurant deals in COVID. And I say, I've already tasted restaurant death. I've already been in bankruptcy. I've already seen what it tastes like. This is not it. This is not restaurant death. And I knew out of COVID, the 2 businesses, the 2 industries that were going to navigate out of it creatively was going to be the movie and television industry and the restaurant industry because they're populated with critical thinkers who are very creative, who solve problems on a daily basis. So I knew that this wasn't the death. People were just really scared, and fear does crazy shit to the mind.
Yeah.
And
so you were there raising your hand when you had these real estate deals.
I will do it. I'll do
Yeah.
it. Let's do it. We opened Fingers Crossed, which was a 6-month pop-up.
Yeah.
Deep COVID 2020.
Yeah.
Signed the deal for Mother Wolf LA. Signed the deal for Vegas. You know, I think Tradita was a little bit later into 2021. We were still in the throes.
How did Mother Wolf just explode like that? Was it a lot of, this is all the culinary stuff aside, was it just like a pent-up demand to go to a restaurant like that?
There was that for sure, but it was a lot of things. I think that the story was something that resonated with people, doing something very grand in a city that has a lot of small, quaint, warm, chef-driven restaurants, doing something big and beautiful and has this juxtaposition of, you know, living museum as is Rome and, you know, Biggie Smalls on the jukebox and that kind of like very opulent background with very simple peasant food. And I just think that, you know, it hit. It just hit and it was an immediate success, but I also threw myself at it. I didn't look at another restaurant when I was at Felix from 17 onwards. I didn't even look at anything. I was there 7 days a week, 14, 16, 18 hours a day, making sure that we were successful because I was coming off of bankruptcy.
Yeah. When you're at Felix and you're working these hours, are you watching these new restaurants open and get the buzz and know that you have this big, I mean, it's crazy. When I went to Mother Wolf, I'd been to Felix, I was like, what the fuck? This is a very different.
That's the response I wanted.
I didn't know you. We've just met today. I mean, always thought of you as like the quiet guy with the rolling pin. And then you've got this thing happening here and you've got these celebrities there. And I'm like, holy shit. What a great second album.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was fun. I spent all that time at Felix and I know now when you do an expansion, going from 1 to 2 is the most difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 to 3, 4 to 5, like that. Going from 2 to 6 was actually relatively easy because of the amount of work that collectively the team put into it to solidify the team. But you have to know that the team you're leaving behind when you expand has to be double strength.
Yeah.
Because they have to tell your story and hold the line. Because the team that you're going to go build, they're going to have face first, undiluted leadership from me.
Yeah.
So the team you leave behind has to be double strength because they have to, they've got to toe the line. And that was so hard for me. It's only because I had, you know, a very, very strong chef, Vicky.
Yeah.
Vicky crushed, like she's been this extraordinary leader at Felix for the last, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have done the expansion without her being there and holding it down. And, but then I was in, it took me less time, didn't take me 4 years. I spent 6 and 7 days for 18 months at Mother Wolf. I rarely went to Felix. I went to Felix as much as I possibly could, but I was there in it.
Yeah.
Working, making sure that both front and back of the house knew the stories, they knew the histories, they knew the provenance, they knew the food. And it's quite difficult when you paint yourself into a box. It's a big box, but it's a box nonetheless of Roman food because they're almost dogmatic when it comes to what is what.
The 5 pastas, right? The Jewish food. There's like very narrow lens when it comes to Roman cuisine.
So it's difficult for cooks just at that level to execute consistently 65 to 75 cacio e pepe at speed with accuracy. So working with the chefs there, it was a task. But I conceptualized this restaurant to produce it multiple times because I knew Roman food is very consistent. So if I could instill that into a staff, these are the stories, these are the recipes, this is the technique. Do not deviate and we will be successful.
It sounds like you think about front of house as much. It just sounds like, just from you talking about verbalizing
I think it's short-sighted for chefs to think that people come to restaurants just for the food. They'll go just for the food if that's the only good thing about the restaurant.
True enough.
Right? But it is about the entire experience and hospitality hospitality on a whole is really about how people feel when they leave the experience. And it's not just good vibe. It's not just a great wine list or a good service staff. It has to be the whole thing.
Absolutely agree. So you opened Funke last May. So what a crazy, 18, 17 months you open, and then people are there all the time. It's the buzziest restaurant in LA. But then January happens and the fires happen, and you've got this constant headwind with LA. What has been the Funke opening experience? I mean, you were there last night. I'm sure I'm going to guess that you've been at Funke a lot recently.
My name's over the door.
Yeah, I mean, there's that whole thing too, which I think is really a master stroke to brand this restaurant and really signal that this is your namesake restaurant.
Well, I think Beverly Hills is the place to do it because it's a bastion for houses. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Cartier. These are all houses that do things very, very well. So originally I was not going to name it Funke, and I listened to the close confidants and consigliere around me said, you should do this. If you're going to do it, you should do it. But you can only do it once. And if you fail, it's bad.
It's your shot. You can't do Funke 2.0.
It was a moonshot to do it. And
how stressed were you about that?
I don't really get stressed.
That's interesting.
My mom says to me, I don't want you to be stressed. You're so stressed. Honestly, I don't get stressed.
Yeah.
Stress happens when you don't enjoy what you do.
I like that.
There are stressful moments, but if it stresses me out, I just don't do it. And I've somehow, navigated restaurant deals where I'm fortunate enough and have the privilege to say, I just don't do that. And if you want to work with me, you're going to do this and I'm going to do this.
So it's like you're setting yourself up to not have those uncomfortable, stressful moments by saying no to some things.
A little bit of sandbagging, but it's also, it's all...
That's rough to call it sandbagging.
It's protecting what I do well and I want to continue to do well.
Yeah.
That said, I try to surround myself with people that are way better than me in their fields, and it's worked very well. I have a lot of like multiple partnerships, and those partnerships were chosen because of the people that are good at what they do in those partnerships.
How fun is it having your own spot in Beverly Hills and having this rooftop where you can have events? You've got this second level that you can do events. I mean, LA is such an event town, and you're right there in the mix of it with the agencies nearby and the studios kind of nearby, and just. I know you grew up here, so this is an industry town and maybe it doesn't faze you, but man, it's like where people go to do things that are very important to our entertainment industry.
It's not lost to me. I breathe rarefied air. I really do. And it is a privilege to, number one, cook in California. Number two, have the diversity of demographic within this city, to have the clientele that is happy to pay Beverly Hills prices, because it's still a business, and if the rent number does not work for the model, then you should not take that deal. And rent in Beverly Hills is rent in Beverly Hills, and it's a serious thing. So it's I think a lot of people, not that they should care, but a lot of people don't understand how much it actually takes to run a restaurant with 3 levels in the middle of Beverly Hills in the Golden Triangle. Yeah. It takes a lot of money and a lot of
thought. Capital needed for that restaurant just walking in was significant. Do you ever pinch yourself to think about you're doing a lot of pasta and a lot of pizza in Beverly Hills? I'm not going to call your restaurant that because there's many more dimensions to it, but that's 20 years ago. What?
Yeah, no, I mean, I try to operate from a position of gratitude on a daily basis. Yeah, I'm very, very grateful. I'm very fortunate to have the opportunities that flow into my life. I'm into manifestation. I think about things very deeply and wholeheartedly with good intentions, and I think that's why I've attracted the restaurants that I work in and the people that I work with.
I can't let you leave and not talk about your upcoming cookbook.
Yeah.
Southern Italy. Is Coleman working on this one?
Coleman is the writer, yeah.
I love that. I love that. I didn't know that about that.
Yeah.
And Coleman, what a character, what a legend in the game.
He's a legend.
He really
man.
is. His
He's a
writing,
legend.
his memoir I read. He's been on the show like 2.5 years ago. So
He's
Coleman
just-
Andrews is his name. Please look that up if you do not know him.
He has wonderful books.
On This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire, fast and furious taste check. Evan, are you ready?
Let's do it.
The best fruit.
What season?
Good question. Good follow-up. Let's say all seasons?
Breba, crop, figs, tiger stripe, mango, Gaviota strawberry.
You're going through the seasons.
So there'll be some overlap. Cameo apple, dry farmed.
Yeah.
Mountain magic tomato.
What is that, late summer we're in?
Or right now.
Right now, basically
like
August.
Spot on. And I think winter's hard. A perfectly ripe Danjou pear.
A+ on that. Nice work. The worst vegetable.
The worst vegetable? Can I do the worst fruit? Durian.
Tough hang. Some people like
But
it.
worst vegetable, I don't.
Something. Like
least-
something you avoid when you like are menu building. You just don't want to.
Oh, that's a hard one. Parsnip.
Yeah.
I worked at fish station at Spago and I had to make puree.
Yeah.
Parsnip puree was a mother. Good God.
Yeah. We had a guest say that exact word, parsnip, and we put on Reels. It had like 250,000.
Dude.
You have to realize people love parsnips out there.
They're delicious if someone else has to process them and make them, sure.
I didn't want you to have to capitulate. That was just like an aside. You're owning the parsnip. All right. What is your typical breakfast?
I don't eat until about 3:30.
Is that a medical thing or just your?
No, it's like, it's very in vogue. Like,
It really is. The 18 off and
honestly,
whatever.
25, almost 26 years in the restaurant industry, it's when staff meals serve. So I drink coffee and water until then, and then I eat staff meal, and then I don't really eat after that. I might have something like late night. I used to be very bad at it, and I would just go home and crush bagels and cream cheese at 1 a.m, but I don't do that anymore.
You don't do it anymore. It works for you. The best dessert.
That is a very hard one because I don't do a lot of desserts. I'm like I'd probably say ice cream.
Oh yeah.
I would say ice cream. I like donuts and I like ice cream, but I like glazed donuts.
A restaurant you wish you could bring back from the dead.
Just for one day.
Yeah, it could be one day.
I honestly, going back to the first portion of the conversation, I bring back Bob Burns for one day.
Bob Burns for one day.
Just to see, just to show everybody how weird it was.
Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Mexico City.
Love that answer.
Love DF. That's awesome.
Last one, your favorite sandwich?
Ham and butter on baguette.
Jambon beurre.
Jambon beurre.
I love that. It's common on the answer, but it's probably
Is
the
it
best
really?
answer. Well, banh mi and jambon beurre.
Banh mi is
But I'm not trying to
I was in Vietnam and I got really, really, really sick on a banh mi, but I love banh mi.
That will change you. No, jambon beurre is so good, so classic.
It's so good.
Evan Funke, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us this Taste. It was fun.
My pleasure.
This is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.